Whoops. Welcome to the LANCave where we're living as nerds. I'm Patrick, and I didn't turn the lights on. But joining me always is Owen.
It's November.
It is November. Can you believe it?
Not really.
No.
It's a crazy year. It feels like 2020 never ended. And then really it's like 2020 became 2021. But
it's like we got a second
at the same
November.
time, it's also like blowing by.
Yeah. So it feels like we got a second, like we're getting Christmas again because we just had Christmas. But I think it's been a weird year. But we talk about gaming news and stuff like that, and we try not to dwell on too many things, try to be uplifting and positive as we talk about nerdy stuff and video games mostly.
And we do dwell on like Star Wars.
Yeah, we do talk about we do dwell on Star Wars. We got some Star Wars. Did you see the trailer?
I did.
Yeah.
I commented on it on my main page.
Yeah. I love it.
You do?
Yeah. Yeah. You're not digging it?
I gotta see an episode. There's something about it that didn't really. I don't know. I like the premise in terms of like showing some gangster stuff in Star Wars. I like that, like kind of some underworld, like stuff like that. That's something that I think is cool.
Yeah.
But there's something about, I don't know, the dude playing Boba Fett, like even though he was it's Django, right? The same guy who played Django.
Yeah, same guy.
So but he's also like, I don't know, not that great of an actor.
I would agree.
From my memory.
Yep.
And thank goodness that my win
yeah
is there, because she is excellent and also an awesome action star, so I'm looking forward to her being in there. But like it's him. It's not the premise, it's not even the fact that it's Boba Fett. It's just kind of, how's he going to do when I don't remember him being a good actor to begin with? And so there was just something in the trailer that was kind of off.
Yeah,
for me.
I think some of his line delivery. I don't know if it's his voice or what. By the way, it doesn't. I don't know if you're coming through the right mic there. If you want to check that. I don't know if it was like the line delivery or what. I do feel like similarly his performance in Mando like wasn't incredibly strong, and he's also doing like, I don't think his voice is like this normally. Like it seems like he's purposely making it even gruffer, which I don't know, like to me it sounds like he's like forcing that, and it just kind of, I don't know, kind of is weird. I get what you're saying on that. I like everything else that I've seen on here, like Thorian here, seeing all of the underworld stuff, seeing all the captains. Like I felt like I was watching something like Godfather when he's talking about like, you guys were Jabba's captains and now you're gonna work for me or whatever. Like I thought that was kind of cool. Or he was saying Jabba ruled with fear. It's gonna be around respect. I thought that was cool. Like this right here at the table and stuff. It says that we're playing Myst.
I don't know.
On what, Facebook?
Apparently somewhere it does. Oh, on Twitch it looks like, because we had a couple people drop in and say this does not look like Myst.
That's odd. Yeah, we'll fix that. So we're using a third party to stream. It's not supposed to. It's supposed to be podcasts on there. So I'm gonna go in there while we're talking. But we also got a new trailer for Morbius. I don't know if you saw that one.
I didn't. I saw some commentary on Twitter like, why is Morbius supposed to be cool? And I think that's a fair question to ask.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I know that they've what was it that people were saying, like, oh no, this is this is the anti-hero version of Morbius, and it's weird going into that, but at the same time we kind of did that with Venom as well. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't. It's weird because I don't want to root for Morbius, and I don't particularly like Jared Leto as a person. So I'm curious.
I don't know enough about him personally.
I know a lot, and I don't want to like go off on it here, but like
that's fine.
I mean, Yeah, it's like there are certain actors that I'll watch where I'm like, okay, I think they're great performers. I don't think Jared Leto's a bad actor, but I think he's a good actor, but I don't know why I'm supposed to watch this if I wasn't already a fan of the character. I don't know if I'm even considered a fan of the character. I don't know. I'm not as hyped about that. I'm also not hyped about Eternals, and I feel weird saying that because like I love the Marvel movies, but I'm not feeling it, and it's gotten some pretty low ratings too. I don't know if you saw that.
It's the first MCU movie with a rotten rating.
Yeah, and which doesn't make me feel better. Which does not make me feel better about like I think this is the first MCU movie I currently don't have plans to see in the theaters. I've seen every single other MCU movie. I saw Shang-Chi. No, actually, I didn't see Black Widow. So second. But yeah.
I was never going to see it in the theaters anyway, and so I feel justified in that. And then hopefully, actually, I think Shang-Chi is supposed to come to Disney Plus this month, and so I feel good about that.
Yeah, I think that's
I feel like there was like a big date that was going to happen.
I know we're getting Hawkeye later. Yeah, Disney Plus November.
Which totally Die Hard vibes from Hawkeye, by the way. Like everything about that just screamed Die Hard to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you need to play some Myst, man.
Maybe I do.
Get a couple Twitch people in there just wanting to see some Myst.
I guess I should play some more Myst. I haven't played Myst in a while, but definitely. Funny. Yeah, definitely need to. I wouldn't mind dropping in there if I knew some people were going to get in there and like watch me struggle, because I think that's part of like the fun of Myst is like trying to figure stuff out. So yeah, maybe I'll
the backseat driving.
Yeah, I don't. Well, in Myst, I don't mind that though, because like I'll hit a wall pretty easily, pretty quickly, and maybe actually beneficial for Myst for some backseat driving. Yeah.
So not this Friday, but next Friday, both Jungle Cruise and Shang-Chi on Disney Plus. So that's a pretty good weekend next
Jungle Cruise is really good, by the way. I really liked it. It's a fun romp. So glad. I forgot that wasn't on Disney Plus because I paid for the premium bit on that.
I just was as much as I love The Rock, he doesn't need my money. Not that any of them really need my money, but he is consistently a C. Like his movies are just right in that 70s category, like 7 out of 10 movies. And while that's absolutely a fine niche to carve out for yourself, and I love that I actually read his whole article in Vanity Fair, and where he was talking about like his goal isn't necessarily to like be the best actor in the world or anything like that. He's like, if I entertain somebody, then I did my job, and I respect that because he's always been an entertainer ever since his days in wrestling, and he was one of the best at wrestling. And so he's every movie that I've ever seen that he's in, I at least had a good time, but it was a thing of, am I willing to pay $30 for that good time? No, I'm already paying the monthly service, so I'll just wait. So I'll definitely be checking that out probably next weekend. Maybe if it's PG enough, I might do it while Ted's awake, but otherwise we'll watch it after he goes to bed.
I don't remember offhand. You may want to check up some reviews. I feel like it was relatively kid friendly. I don't remember. His
Emily Blunt's interviews were not kid friendly.
No, they're not. Not kid friendly, but he pursued her to be in the movie. Apparently, like he really wanted her in the movie, and their chemistry is great. Like seeing the two of them, like riffing off each other is really great. And if you're a fan of you have not been to Disney World, right? Or since you were a kid, is that right? I can't remember.
Long time, yeah.
Yeah. So like,
long time.
There's a ton of references to the ride. And there's certain spiel, like if you're on the Jungle Cruise ride, there's certain things that usually they say that are like little jokes. There's a lot of references to it. You'll still enjoy it, but a lot of the corny jokes are like straight up from the ride. But yeah, So enjoy that. I guess later this month. What you been playing, man?
Me and the wife finished up Life is Strange: True Colors.
Yeah.
Obviously, again, can't like go too much into it because it's primarily a story-based game, but it probably put itself at my second favorite of the Life is Stranges. So there's three. This is now the fourth installment in the franchise. So the second one, all mainly because of chapters 4 and 5, or 3 and 5. There's one where it's just particularly fun. Like they add this cool RPG element to because they're without spoiling too much. There's a LARP that occurs, and that makes it entertaining. There's actually some really good music in that. Great soundtrack as always for Life is Strange. But Chapter 5 is very. I didn't quite tear up, but there's definitely like some emotional moments that come with it that really hit you in the face, make you want to spend more time with your kid, be a good parent, and all that good stuff. So definitely recommended. This one was like the full price at the $60, but I actually have already seen it on discount. So if you were a fan of the series so far, I definitely say pick it up and play through it. At some point it was solid, and then today, literally this evening, I started Metroid Dread for about an hour, and it's already very hard.
Yeah, a little challenging. Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'll say that much. I'll go into it more next week after I put in some more time into it, but I was not expecting the difficulty curve to be like very early on, and there definitely is just some stress-inducing moments where like I'm like fumbling around with the controls because I'm not quite used to it. So
is there a difficulty like setting on it? I mean, no. Okay.
Nope. Okay. It is what it is.
Yeah, because I was gonna say you were there's some, I guess, similar to Dark Souls. In that case, it's like that's kind of how they designed the game, and you have to learn how to play the game the way they designed it, which can be good, but yeah, it may be frustrating for you.
Hopefully, I just wish it was twin stick. That's the only thing that's my only, like, I wish that they had made Samus's stuff bumpers and her aim right stick, movement left stick. I think that would have been better. But it's just aim with it? So with your left stick while you're firing, depending on where you're pointing, it'll point, and then you can also hold down L and Samus will stand still, and you can aim that way. And so I'm just not good at it yet, so I'm just not fluid. It's just not, I'm just not rolling into it. Hopefully I do get good at it. The other thing that I miss my grip already. I need the new one to come out. I almost bought those ergo controllers this week just because I'm already tired of holding my Joy-Cons again, but it's supposed to come out, I think, in a week or two, so hopefully I get it soon.
I would say that's not too bad. I mean, I don't know how many hours you put it on the Switch, but like I used to be able to play it for a good 30 or 40 minutes, and I was okay. But now that I got the grips, like I'm spoiled too. So yeah, I get that, man. I get that. I've been playing more.
You making zip lines?
Yeah, I'm not making zip lines yet, but I've been playing more Death Stranding, and I really, other than the BTs, like I really like the game. The only reason I don't like them is the encounters happen and it just kind of throws off my groove.
You threw off my groove.
Yeah, it's like it's annoying, and I get that they're supposed to be like ridiculous, like to fight. And I will say, at least you do eventually start getting some like weaponry that combats them, so that made it better. I would say if you're
just supposed to avoid them.
You're supposed to avoid them if you can. I'm pretty bad at avoiding them. I can totally own up to that. I try to avoid them. I usually don't, or I get too gutsy. I did get a bike. It's like a trike thing. And that definitely helped. Like in avoiding them to an extent, but like if you don't avoid them, they can like basically stop you, even though you're like riding on a motorcycle. Like they can basically stop your motorcycle. So that kind of was annoying to me. But I know that's kind of the point of the game. But also doing a lot
to annoy you.
Well, they're supposed to be like bothersome, but I've also been doing a lot of house cleaning, so I threw some Marie Kondo in here because I'm doing some cleaning and some some decluttering. I'm not I'm not this much into it or anything, but thought like a little throwback as I'm like going through stuff. I'm looking at things and I'm like, does this spark joy? So I thought I'd do throw a little throwback there to what was that?
It's
year? Feels like years.
And there's a new one now. It's like
really?
only like 3 or 4 episodes. She goes into like small businesses and helps them kind of declutter their small business space also. To help with that is, I enjoy her, and I think she's maybe a little out there sometimes in terms of her zenness, but I know that she's, at least outwardly speaking, she's a lot happier person than I am in real life, so she's doing something right.
That's true.
I enjoy her spirit. I enjoy her can-do. Like, can-do is not even the right word, but just the thing of it's a very simple phrase to ask, does this spark joy? But it's a completely legitimate question that we should be asking more often when it comes to healthy things, like, for example, video games. Like, I find video games to be, as long as you keep them in control, a reasonably healthy hobby compared to a lot of other things. And so when it comes to things like the fact that I like buying video games, even though I'm not playing every single game that I buy, I enjoy that thing of putting it on my shelf, and it's just
part of the collection.
Just adding that there, and I'm living within my means, and so it's okay that I want to spend my money on video games.
And well, even just taking that moment of being like, is this, because we do it when we're talking about video games and other things, where it's like, oh, the game's on sale. Okay, it's on sale, but is this really something? Is this something that I really want, or am I just buying it because it's on a really good price? In some cases, it's a really, really, really good price, and I'm like, I'm not going to pass it up because, I think of it like, if I play it eventually, maybe it's a game that eventually I want to play, then maybe the price is good enough. But I do like pause when I'm purchasing or when I'm thinking about purchasing something to specifically be like, do I really, because I'm going to play it eventually, at least I hope I am, but sometimes I have to look at it and go, am I doing this because I want to play the game eventually, or just because it's a low price? Because so I think
that's where you get the middle ground too, of the things where like there's specific games, like, for example, I'm still waiting on it, but Persona 5 Royal. I played Persona 5. I put 95 hours into Persona 5. I enjoyed Persona 5.
Yeah.
And I really wish that they had put Persona 5 Royal as a DLC to the game that I had already paid them for. But they didn't. They made it a completely separate SKU. And so I said, when that game goes under $20, whether it's used or brand new, I don't care in this case because I've already bought the game from Atlas. Used or brand new under $20, I'll jump on it, because I do want a physical copy of Persona 5, because it was an RPG that came to mean a little bit to me because I played it when my son was first born. I have very specific memories of him sleeping on the couch next to me. Like, I would feed him, burp him, let him fall asleep on the couch, and I would go back to playing Persona 5. And so that's a memory that's always going to have. So I wouldn't mind having a physical copy of the game, but I'm not paying a new price for it. So whenever it does drop below that $20 line, I'm going to feel good about buying it because I set that mark for myself.
Sure, exactly. That, I think that's important. That allows for someone, like you're saying, you can live within your means, you can play within your means, and still enjoy it without feeling guilty on some of those things. So that's
like my swollen.
Yeah, exactly. Like your swollen. I was about to buy it. And had to pause because I'm like, I just had to redo my AC. I had a big vet bill. I probably have more vet bills coming and other things. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe not right now, because I had to be responsible about it, because I knew that if I bought it, that meant I probably wasn't going to do my Black Friday spending that I plan on doing. So it's like, pick your battles. I'm still gonna have fun. I'm still gonna buy some games, I'm just gonna wait for the swirl.
Sakurai might be disappointed in you though.
What, man? What?
Said Sakurai might be disappointed in you though.
He might be, but you know what? If you could. So my comment on this was, how many swan songs does Sakurai get? He's basically saying that. So Sakurai is the creator and the lead of for Smash Brothers, and basically has said that this may not be the end for Smash. This may not be the end for him and for the series. I think, would this be his third time? Like, I think that he said the last 3 times he was like, "This is the last game I'm going to play," and then either maybe, I don't know if Nintendo gave him more money or he changed his tune. I don't know, but yeah, this may not be the end of Smash specifically with him. Now I'm just wondering, did Nintendo give him a little bit of money? Or does he feel like he could leverage more money? I honestly haven't looked up to see how much he's worth or anything. I'd imagine that has decent worth, but I don't know. Nintendo. I feel like this really depends on Nintendo and like what they would give him for it.
Says he's worth. I mean, and this is just a website that isn't really worth anything, because I've seen a lot of Pierce laugh at Googling herself and being like, I'm not worth this much money. And so this is the internet, as it assumes, says he's worth 10 million, which honestly he should be worth more, because his game is the 3rd highest selling game on Switch, behind only Animal Crossing and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So 24 million copies of this game. The thing that I found interesting about this article was where he mentions, 1, that he's not sure if it's over, but 2, that he doesn't think Smash Brothers is doable without him. And there was one of the things where he's talking about that there was versions of Smash Brothers without his work on it. And I'm totally stealing this from listening to somebody else talk about it this week, but they brought up a really good point of like, what did that look like? what did the stuff that doesn't have Sakurai on it look like? How bad was it for them to be like, dude, Sakurai, you're not done. You got to come back and make Ultimate. I'm curious about that. So if what he said was true, that there are versions of Smash where he wasn't working on the game prior to Ultimate, I would be inclined to believe him that they can't do Smash Brothers without him, at least not right now.
I think it'd be like doing Metal Gear without Kojima, which they probably will. I mean, they've done Metal Gear games without him, but the heart just isn't there. Maybe that's what he felt about it. Not to say it would be like an unplayable game, but maybe it just didn't have the right aesthetic. I don't know. I'll say neither one of us are like huge Smash Brothers fans, so we can't tell you about the nuance.
It's more respect than anything.
Yeah, I respect the guy and everything. I just mean like, and that is a bold statement, but I'm not going to say that it's inaccurate. That it wouldn't be a huge struggle unless they found someone else who could pull it off. He's gonna put out a good product. That's really what it boils down to. There's not been a stinker among his work, so I get it. That is pretty arrogant to say, but at the same time, I get it. Another thing arrogant to do, speaking of things that I wouldn't do, is pirating and then throwing out some firmware so people could pirate on the Switch. So I love the headlines on this, because the headlines have all been talking about Bowser pleads guilty to Nintendo Switch hacking, whatever. Like, there's different headlines, but they have to bring up his last name. This is Gary Bowser, who is one of the lead hackers of Team Executor, which they've done stuff for Switch. They've done stuff for Xbox in regards to hacking. But he was the lead on this, hacked the Switch, was able to essentially allow people to play, play whatever software that they wanted. I don't think they could download it, but I think that they could load it onto the Switch. They could download it from the Nintendo Switch store, I think, but you could load it, you could download it elsewhere and then load it on your Switch. but he was only making $1,000 a month doing this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, man, that's. I mean, I'm not saying that like. I'm just saying, like, is it really worth it for $1,000 a month to do something like this to try to make profit, as opposed like, or would you rather just do it and then just do it anonymously and not make money? I would imagine that would be the better way to do it, to not try to make money off people. I don't know.
Well, what was crazy, I mean, obviously, by the way, you know, I say this as somebody who's hacked a device personally.
Sure.
I've hacked my Vita. It's right up there. I hacked my Vita. I've talked about it many times to put a memory card in it.
Yeah.
I did it so I could put a SD card in it and download all the Vita games that I bought and not have to worry about the store closing, things like that. Whether you want to justify that or not, that's up to you. It does start to cross that line though, where like this is what you're advertising. But the thing that I'm wondering though is the article said that they've generated a lot of money for selling these devices, and you're only getting paid $1,000. Like, what's your upkeep, dude? Are you just buying, like, are you having to buy brand new switches, $350 every time you hack them? How long does that take to hack the Switch? You know, manpower, hour power, shipping. Like, where is all?
Maybe he was.
I was just looking at it from a business perspective. Is like, what's your overhead, dude? Where you're making that much money, but you're not netting.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that too, because I was like, but you know, if you generated tens of millions of dollars, how bad are you with money if you're only making 1,000? Was he hiring a bunch of people, like you said? Was it overhead? Was he just spending it, or were they spending it? Because really, it's multiple people. But yeah, the business as a whole, he should have been pocketing way more than that. So he is being forced to pay was it 4.5? I had it over here. Sorry. Yeah, $4.5 million, and he has to essentially like play ball like with Nintendo and the investigators in regards to everything. He doesn't have $4.5 million, or I would assume he doesn't have $4.5 million. So this is going to be something he's going to be basically paying off in payments to Nintendo. And I agree, it's the principle of the thing. And I agree, someone could say, you don't do the crime if you can't do the time. But this is literally putting him in like, in debt to Nintendo for the rest of his life. But
child support, baby.
That's basically, yeah. I definitely, I don't disagree. It just makes me, it's similar to when people were like pirating music back in like late 90s, early 2000s, when people were pirating music and they were like, oh, okay, well, it's like $10,000 per song you had on your hard drive, and it was like 1,000 songs. Like, how are you going to actually pay that off? The answer on some of those is usually they don't, with those type of copyright laws. But this one he's
go bankrupt or something.
Yeah, you go bankrupt and then you.
I declare bankruptcy.
That's not how this works, Michael. You can't just declare bankruptcy. It probably what'll happen. He'll probably end up. Someone will tell him, "Hey, this is what you should do," and then he'll have what I think that screws up your credit for like 7 years or something like that. But yeah, it's gonna be rough. But at the same time, like, we don't condone that type of piracy. Like you said, you hacked your Vita. I've hacked a few of the consoles up here specifically for those reasons of either needing to expand memory or trying to get around a possible issue. And actually, I can kind of segue right up into the PS5 update that came out, because one of the things that I did with the I have hacked my PS3 for this, was going to hack my PS4, but Sony fixed it and now fixed it on the PS5. This is referring to what some people refer to as the CMOS bomb or a CMOS battery issue. Basically, if your system can't check into the servers, there's a little battery on your system that says you're still legit. If that battery goes out and you can't check into the server, used to be that you couldn't play any games. The PS3 you could play only physical games. PS4 you couldn't play physical or digital. Sony realized this because they realized people were hacking their devices to get around it. So they have now fixed it for your PS5 and your PS4. I don't think they've fixed the PS3, but I'll have to double check. Either way, this means it's no longer an issue, and you don't have to hack your devices. And that's why I don't plan on hacking my PS5 or PS4 at this time, because I don't have a need to. But if they didn't fix this, I would have hacked the PS5 for it eventually. I hacked my PS3 for it, and I ain't even sorry. But there's no illegal games that I'm running off of it or anything. So it's not that sort of thing. It was specifically hacking it to say I want to be able to, fix this issue. So glad that Sony did this for their PS5, and we don't have to worry about it now.
I see some dude on Reddit ran some PS3 testing, and he removed the CMOS battery, disabled the internet, and set an arbitrary date on his system to ensure like no PSN. Basically physical disk work. The trophy is still technically pop, but you can't sign into PSN without the CMOS. And so the thing that I guess I'm not seeing if he like downloaded digital games, but he said your account cannot be signed in because device activation is no longer available. So basically, yeah, your without they haven't changed it on PS3, so you would have to actually replace your CMOS battery on the 3, which I've seen can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. It can be done if you want to do that. There's also places that will do that for you. There's different game shops and stuff that'll do repair and replace your battery for you. I hacked my PS3, so I don't have to worry about that because of that same issue. Because of that, knowing about that, PS4 wouldn't play physical or digital games if you had this scenario. And the scenario we're talking about, a lot of people are like, "Well, it doesn't really matter," but
probably doesn't.
If you want, but at the same time, but at the same time, if you are like us and you decide, hey, I'm going to go back and play some PS4 games or some PS5 games, right, in like 15 years, Sony may have shut down those servers, and in that case, you can't play them if that battery doesn't work. So, it's not everyone who's going to have a problem with it, but I definitely think from a retro gaming standpoint, like I said, 20 years from now, that's going to be a big thing, because people buying SNES right now, buying Super Nintendos and N64s, like you can just play the games. You don't have to worry about that being an issue. So, yeah. I'm happy.
That's why we just need backwards compatibility in perpetuity starting now with PS4 generation, with the Xbox One generation, with now the hopefully Nintendo, the Switch generation. This just needs to be a thing. Like I need to be able to play all my stuff on all my stuff forever because I'm giving you thousands of dollars.
Yeah, Switch is going to be a weird one. I 100% agree with you. Switch is going to be a weird one because knowing Nintendo, they could switch formats. So in switching formats to say a disc, that means that your physical games aren't backwards compatible. I would think the optical discs don't go away, at least in the next generation, because people keep saying, "Oh, this will be the last generation for it. This will be the last generation for it." I feel like we may have another generation of physical media in us. I don't have a preference for one or the other. I do like my physical collection though, but I don't think this will be the last of optical media. Meaning the PS6 will still have an optical drive, or if it doesn't have an optical drive, someone's, I don't know, they'll say it supports a USB 3.0 optical or something like that. We'll see what happens, because that's down in the future. I did have a little happy update on my Sony TV though. I won't spend too much time on, but we had the Sony TV that I have, and a lot of the newer Sony TVs, and they specifically are talking about the XR. It's not just the XRs that have it as some of the A80J, A90J, not the XR versions have this. They just got an update for VRR, so variable refresh rate. Funny enough, PS5 doesn't support variable refresh rate right now. So they got that update. I think the PS5 will get that soon. But the trailer we're showing right now is that the PS5, the update for the TVs, allows essentially the PS5 to recognize the TV that you're playing, the model, and adjust your HDR accordingly. If you're on game mode, and if you're watching movies, turning it off, it'll adjust there. So essentially, it optimizes your TV because it knows the panel of that TV, which I think is really cool. This type of technology has existed, but Sony, knowing all of their TVs, they were able to implement this. This would be something that theoretically Sony could allow, if they wanted, to detect other types of TVs, and Microsoft could do something similar, detecting the model of TV, because it's not a proprietary thing to detect it. So I don't think Sony has a reason to do that, because they're trying to sell those new TVs. But the technology is pretty cool to basically say your PlayStation can detect what type of TV you have and adjust accordingly. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and I thought that the PlayStation and both, I think the Xbox does it too. At least the one thing that I thought was cool, that the Series has, that the PlayStation doesn't necessarily spit out every little detail for you. Yes. So the Series X, you pop it into your TV, and it lists out every single thing that your TV is capable of through the Series. And I think that's really cool. Dope. PlayStation just says you're running 4K, whatever, but it doesn't give you all the info. That's one little output from Series. It's just that nice touch of that was where I think that was actually how I discovered that I didn't have more than one HDR port at the time that the console came out, where I was like, why am I not getting HDR? And it turns out only my HDMI 1 slot has HDR. The other two are just regular 4K. So now what do? I manually swap out both of those. I tried to fix it with a Switch. And no, it didn't. I went through 3 of them, and then I got tired of spending money. So I was like, so now I just literally just walk up to the TV every time. I have a zip cable that ties the cords right there together, and I just swap them out.
Yeah, well, that works. Well, the PS5 and the Series X, they are detecting what the TV can do, but what Sony's basically doing, it's through what is it? Is it CEC or H? I can't remember the technology term, but basically it's not only detecting what your TV can do, but it knows the model, because not all of similarly the Xbox does do something similar, and actually the Xbox displays everything. Sony has a lot of just set it to automatic, and that's the PlayStation saying, I'm just going to detect it and I'll play what I think is best. This is going a step further in the type of HDR. Instead of doing the HDR calibration, it knows what your TV does already, and it calibrates your HDR for you.
That's fun.
And better, yeah. So I agree, though. I wish that Sony would do that kind of to tell you what you could and couldn't do. It also may make you sad when you see all those red check boxes where it's like, you can't do Dolby Vision.
It does.
You can't do that.
You don't have 120 hertz.
Yeah, I will say that it's funny because mine, like my TV can do 4K 120, or it can do Dolby Vision. So it's like you can choose which one you want. You have to switch the input to different ones. So this obviously doesn't affect that many people unless you're buying the newer, higher end Sony TVs. But it will be something that I wouldn't doubt if it gets rolled out for other TVs eventually.
New hotness.
Yeah, I think it's nice. I would say getting the TV, it's almost like early adopting technology, because I got it and it was like variable refresh rate. It's coming soon, and then I had no idea when it was going to come. So it's kind of cool that it comes out, though. Yeah,
I think that this kind of tech is one of those things where you can count on it getting down there, similar to like what we were talking about with proprietary memory and stuff. Like I saw. For example, OLED. Yeah. So we got the Swello that we're talking about. OLED TVs are kind of chunky in terms of their price. Like if you want a really solid OLED, but TCL, which I'm a huge fan of in terms of mid-grade TVs, I have a TCL LCD TV right now. But I saw some dude on Twitter like, hey, what's like, a TV that you would get for gaming at $500. He was asking a guy that I follow. Yeah. And the guy's like, for $500, man, that's kind of low. And I just do a quick thing. I'm like, I wonder what 2021 TCL's doing. TCL has a QLED, the QLED. Very nice. So, now that where you're like, can everybody just use one term for OLED? But TCL has a QLED that was on sale for $550 on Amazon, 55-inch QLED. And I was like, okay, I can't do it because I bought a new TV for God of War in 2018. So I have like there's like a statute of limitations on how many 55-inch to 60-inch TVs that Owen can buy before his wife's like, do you really need that TV?
What's your limit though? Like, is it like every 5 years? Because I think 5 years is reasonable.
It's probably in there somewhere because right now I have two 40s that are just 1080p's in other rooms, and then I have the 55 4K. Gotcha. And so what would happen is I would throw out one of the 40s, move the 55 somewhere else.
I sold mine on Facebook Marketplace, so I mean,
I'm really bad about doing that kind of thing, only because there's probably some laziness to it of not wanting to deal with it. I'm like, I'll just donate it if I actually want to get rid of it.
I was gonna say I have things like in my office closet where I'm like, I'm gonna sell that because I replaced something, and I'm like, I'll just sell the old one, and then I don't get around to it. But yeah, TVs, I did the shuffle on those. So, yeah, I mean, I think
I'd love to mount one in here for no reason whatsoever. I don't spend a whole lot of time in here, but just as an exercise. I've never mounted a TV.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
Before. I've mounted a bunch of shelves, obviously, but I've never mounted a TV. So as an exercise, I would love to mount one in the office just to do it.
The big ones are obviously a little more scary to do it, but they do well. They do well.
But if it was one of these insignias that I've now had, because I've had both my 40-inch insignias, which great budget brand for people who just wanted a TV.
Yeah,
got them from Best Buy for I think $200 each at the time, and you can probably get them for cheaper now. But one of those things where it's like, this is a TV that I really don't care about. If I happen to drop it, okay.
I mounted, especially it's an older
it has
one.
Gotten its lifespan. It's gotten its lifespan.
We got one that we got on Black Friday that I mounted in the bedroom. And for years we were like, oh, we're not gonna have a TV in the bedroom because we're there to decompress and read. Shouldn't be another great room to watch TV. We lasted 11 years. Yeah, 11 years before we ended up putting a TV in there. I put it and we don't.
It lasted until we got married.
Yeah.
Until we got married and we got the house. When we got the house? We moved in there.
Did you both want the TV, or was there one of you that?
No, it's because I bought that 4K for God of War, and I wasn't gonna throw away a TV, and so it was like, sense. All right,
that makes sense. No, I get that.
And it then became one of those things where I'm mainly the watcher after bedtime, but it became a good thing because if I'm in there playing a video game in the living room and she really doesn't want to sit there and she wants to go lay in bed, it became a thing that she can go do. But for that first couple of years we were married,
I get that. She can put on her trash TV or whatever when she wants to just kind of zone out
Well, and then what you discover is if you have Apple TVs, your AirPods, dude, you can just change the sound in the Apple TV menu. Robert showed me this. He's in the chat now, but Robert showed me this last year. Game changer. Of if you have Apple TV, you change the audio and you're just listening to this stuff in your AirPod, no partner disturbance. So if you're like awake after they are, like the only thing you got to worry about is the light. But if they're okay sleeping with like a lamp on and whatever, it becomes a nice thing of I just sit there and
that's cool.
Watch a little something.
That's cool. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't have an Apple TV, but that is definitely something that I would do with the Apple TV. The dog has joined us again as he did last week. He learned how to open this door apparently. So let me put him up real quick.
Freaking velociraptors.
Basically, he's huge and he's way too smart for his own good. But yeah, let me put him up real quick.
Yeah. In a completely non sequitur, Blizzard is going through it. We had recently, obviously everybody knows what's going on with Blizzard if you listen to this podcast or pay attention to video games at all, but they've been having some problems on the sexual harassment side of things for several years. They've been making lots of changes. We commented last week that the CEO who's been there forever, who made $150 million last year, has now reduced his salary to the California minimum for salary. So $62,000, I think, was the price, and no stock options until they make this right, which who's going to make that determination. But they had put two people in charge of Blizzard. So this is Kotick is the guy in charge of Activision as a whole. But they put a joint venture of Jen Oneal and I think the other dude's name is Ibarra. Both decently respected people in the industry. Well, Jen 3 months in is already like, I'm out. I'm going to go work for this organization that Blizzard said that they would give $1 million to, even though they're not owned by Blizzard. It's just an organization for, I think, promoting equality in the industry, something like that.
Women in gaming, it's a nonprofit.
Women in gaming. Yeah. So some people were reading a lot into that in saying that tells you how bad it is at Blizzard. And I think that there's probably something to that. But at the same time, if she made her bag already, if she got her bag of money, it's probably also a lot less stressful going to like going from a very hotbed of the gaming industry has their eyeballs on you. What are you doing to change things right now? To I work for this organization that's already doing good things and is probably already like in a good thing in everybody's mind.
Yeah.
And
I
maybe I don't need to make a ton of money anymore. I don't know. There's probably I wouldn't want to work for Blizzard right now.
And a lot of people are like, oh, she shouldn't have taken the job. I mean, it could also be a timing thing. I've seen a lot of times where not necessarily that she was leveraging her position to get another position at Staples or anything like that. But I've seen a lot of times where someone started a role and just timing wise, something happened and someone reached out to them and then they were like, I am so sorry, I gotta do something, I gotta do this other thing. And sometimes the time
I don't know that really she like had an option really, because she worked for the didn't she work, wasn't she the head of the company that made Tony Hawk's Pro Skater remake? They just got absorbed last week.
They got absorbed. But she was promoted 3 months ago. But like you said, it may have been something where they reached out and said, "Hey, we're promoting you," as opposed to So, and like I said,
I just feel like the writing was on the wall. And then she's like, "Maybe I didn't want to be in charge of your crap studio. I enjoyed my awesome studio over here that was well respected. And we made a Diablo 2 remake that people liked. We made Tony Hawk's 1 and 2 that people liked. We made a Crash that people liked. And now you're pulling me over here where the people who are like, don't you have phones?" I don't want to be in charge of this.
That's why I put this. That's why I had to put this up, because I was like, just the failure of this whole presentation. No, and I agree. And I mean, obviously, there's a lot of people scrutinizing her. I mean, we're sitting here talking about someone that we don't know in of her situation and everything.
Yeah. Pure speculation.
Pure speculation. I don't know why she made the choice. I mean, it seems like from her history and then this choice, may have been she was like, you know what? I don't think this is me. Like, not only the position but the environment. That's a lot of stress to walk into that type of position, knowing the dysfunction and knowing the scrutiny that's going on, knowing the ire, knowing the focus that's on you. Good for her to be like, you know what? If that's the reason that she exited, good for her. If it's not, more, hopefully she doesn't feel like, like there was a lot of bad press about any of this, because more power to her. If she's following the path she wants to follow, seems like a very positive path for her to go into. It's Women in Games. Sorry, I said gaming, but it's close. But as a nonprofit, that's a great cause. Seeing more women in gaming, more women getting into STEM overall is great. Getting into science and everything. So happy for her to do that. Let's see how Ibarra does in regards to his position and how Blizzard's going to do. But it has not done well for their sales of Diablo 2 and other games, and also players online playing Overwatch and other games has plummeted this year, which I will say I bought Diablo 2. I've enjoyed it, and I know that I'm sitting here paying Blizzard money, even though I don't condone a lot of the things that they're doing. We usually save up with our wallets, but I'm glad at least there's some integrity with some people in gaming. Maybe not me for Diablo 2, but some people saying, you know what, I'm not going to support that. I don't need it. I'll wait, or I'll buy it used for Diablo 2 or whatever. I almost, when I read the headline, I almost was like, good, when I saw that they weren't making money. Because I want that to hurt their bottom line, so they really make impactful changes. I don't want them to make temporary changes until the focus goes away. which is what I think a lot of them are a lot of companies feel like. They're like, oh, just let the bad press go away, and we'll continue status quo. So kind of happy.
Yeah, and honestly, they're going to run into a problem here because as part of what came up, so this came up during their stockholder meeting, I think, or their earnings report, one of the two. And they said that Diablo 2 is actually, like, the sales-wise isn't terrible, but it is bad, like, compared to something that you want to sell. Yeah. Like, they did come on and say that Diablo 2 is their highest first-week seller for a remaster. And I'm like, how many remasters have you guys done? Because I think it's only a few. Yeah, and so, you know, it's one of those, like, I don't even know the right word for where you're sugarcoating it, maybe, and where you're saying, like, yeah, it did great, but it's really not doing great. But
they're playing with the facts. It's like, yeah.
But here's the problem. So they were going to be Overwatch 2 is in development. It's been in development for quite a while.
Yeah.
They have not been updating Overwatch. I heard from a buddy of mine that plays it quite a bit in this Discord. He said that Overwatch 1 hasn't been updated since 2020. So we're now at the end of 2021. So, and when we say updated, we say like major updates. So like character maps, etc. So because I think they were counting on it coming out around this year. Honestly, when you have Call of Duty updating their game until like the end, like Cold War, the updates start to suck like right around 2 or 3 months before Vanguard comes out, right? The season passes are a little lackluster, but they're still adding content in there that you can do, and then Vanguard comes out. Overwatch stopping last year, that was a little surprising to me, to hear that from him, how there's not much going on there. So now Overwatch 2 getting delayed until like 2023, so they're essentially killing Overwatch unless they decide to give Overwatch an update. Overwatch just is what it is until Overwatch 2 comes out. That's bad.
Which you can't do in an online game like this, online competitive game. Like, that's death. You're right. Yeah.
Diablo 4 delayed till 2023 likely. What have they been doing with Diablo 3? I know that it's on Game Pass. I know that you can play like the full version, which I actually meant to do because I still have, to this day, never played Diablo 3. So I should download that. And I think I did one evening, and just like many of my Game Pass downloads just goes by the wayside. But you can play Diablo 3 on Game Pass right now. But are they still updating that? Probably not.
They are actually.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Season 25 introducing demonic powers.
Cool.
I haven't played Diablo 3 in a long time, but yeah, apparently they're still. That is a rabid fan base.
I mean, that's good then. That's good then that they're keeping that game going till, you know, hopefully Diablo 4. But WoW is having people. They're still healthy, but they're not healthy in the way that they would want, because they're still losing lots and lots of players. I still think they have like 4 or 5 million subs, which is quite a bit, but people have been leaving WoW in droves. Final Fantasy 14 is at its highest member count ever.
Yeah.
Dirty little thing that I did yesterday, I downloaded the PS5 version of Final Fantasy 14 on my PlayStation and bought a 60-day time card. I still haven't logged in, but I was like, I don't know.
Is the time
like
card
a moment
valid?
of
Do you have to wait? Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, I activated it, so I could have not, but I activated it to really like push myself. I'm like, if you're gonna try and play this game, you got T-minus 60 to do it. But in a moment of weakness, I was like, let me just pray. I was literally scrolling through my downloads, right? Like, you know, just, I don't know if you ever do this, just go through your game library. I was like, I got a PS5 upgrade. Let's just push the button. So I pushed the button, because I'm curious to see how good it looks on PS5. I want to know what they did to it. I'm like, did they add some graphical updates? Is it just that it's running smoother? Like, it became a curiosity thing. Shadowbringers is supposed to be an excellent expansion that I haven't finished. There's a new expansion about to come out. I'm probably not going to bump into that new expansion, but I wouldn't mind finishing the one that I do own.
Yeah.
It was definitely like, I don't think I'm going to play it that much. I think I'll probably log into it a couple times. The card cost me, I think, like $20, but if I get a few hours of entertainment. But people are leaving WoW for things like FF14. New stuff is coming out all the time. Blizzard's going to come back.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if Blizzard comes back anytime soon.
Man, I hope so, because I'm a Blizzard fan, so obviously I want it to come back. It's just a question of like, is it going to come back? Is it going to be the Blizzard that we know, or is it going to be something different? Do they need to reinvent themselves? I don't know. Like, I don't think that this will completely kill them, but it's going to be rough. It's
because they have.
really rough.
What was funny from the screen cap that they posted showing up and somebody, I just saw like a random comment on Twitter that made the point. So they basically like boasted their like major franchises. It was like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, I think Overwatch was there, and then Candy Crush was on the end. So on the bookends, though, it was Call of Duty and Candy Crush. Yeah. And somebody was like, I just think it's so funny for Candy Crush to be up there. And then somebody was like, they're literally holding up the other pieces of the business. You have Candy Crush and Call of Duty bringing in the ducats.
Which is crazy, but that is modern gaming. As much as I hate to think about it that way, modern gamers 2021, the younger, we there's a lot of people who are in our camp who will say things like, oh, well, that's casual gaming, or that doesn't count. It's a game.
It's the new age, bro.
And it's making money. So as much as I got hooked on Candy Crush for a little bit, but I don't think it's the same, in my opinion. But at the same time, it's a game and it's making money, so therefore I can't really, I can't disagree. That's facts, you know.
Yeah. Now, honestly, that's where some people are worried about single player gaming, is that what the kids of today have grown up on in terms of content. Like the reason why somebody like me, for example, complains about how long Assassin's Creed Valhalla is, right? I think Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the last three, so Origins, what came after Origins?
Unity? No, sorry. Origins and Odyssey, right?
Odyssey. Origins, Odyssey, Valhalla. Three very bloated games, in my opinion. I think that there's too much stuff to do, and that is a thing speaking to this current generation of people who grew up on games with like Roblox and Fortnite and all these games that are just you make one payment or you don't even pay anything, and there's just endless hours of content. And so that's where some people fear the single player experience going away. I say that's never going to happen. There's always going to be independent developers and everything that goes on. It just, is there going to be a AAA shift at some point? That's why you don't have to, but if you want them to stick around, that's why you have to support the Sonys of the world. That's why you have to support the Xboxes of the world, as long as they put out some new ones. And we're going to see Age of Empires got good ratings from what I saw. I'm sad that it's not on console. I really wish that they.
I thought it was.
It's not. At least in it. Like, if you can't figure it out for controller, make it like console download, mouse and keyboard required, because my series could definitely run that game, and there's no reason not to, in my opinion. I think that that's a miss on their part for leaving that. Forza is about to come out. We'll see what Halo is in December, but Sony's still on that first, that, you know, will give you single player experiences. Xbox is on that. Nintendo is on that. You still have to support those single player experiences if you want them to keep sticking around. Otherwise, you're just giving them ammunition to be like, well, F it. Let's just make a free-to-play microtransaction game like Genshin Impact.
Because exactly. Because if they keep coming out with,
not that Genshin is bad, by the way.
Yeah, but it's if no one's buying them, then they're going to make less of them, and that's just economics, which I get. It is. I mean, video games are art and a business, and the art is always going to be there. It's the problem is the money's not always going to be there if we don't support them. Two quick things over on the Microsoft side, but as we kind of close off the show, wanted to just talk briefly on this. Sega has a new partnership, announcing a new partnership with Microsoft, a strategic alliance. They are talking about making some a new game or new games. I think this is interesting when they just had that deal with Nintendo as well to get on the Nintendo expansion pack. Like Sega got money off that. Sega's getting money off this. We're seeing Sega somehow survived the console wars and is still in there, thankfully, with some investors like Microsoft and others. Do you think they're working, like, do you think that they're working on something like in revitalizing like an IP, or do you think this is Microsoft just saying, we know you have value, and we're just going to let you make money while we make money off of you? What do you think?
Well, the thing that I don't understand is the cloud platform thing. So the thing says we'll see the Japanese gaming giant develop games using the Xbox firm's Azure cloud platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that's hard for me to understand, like, is that, so the deal, which has been agreed to in principle, will see it produce large-scale global games in a next-generation dev environment.
Yeah.
So dev environment built on Microsoft. So is it saying that they're basically saying you can use Azure so that you guys can work from home? Like, I didn't know how to read that.
I think they're referring to I don't think it's for that. I think it's referring to the infrastructure for xCloud is what I think. But they didn't call it xCloud, so I don't know. I don't know exactly where that comes in, but I would imagine that it has something to do with xCloud, or I don't know why they would call it Azure and not xCloud in this, because working from home, like, okay, well, the majority of companies are work from home. Virtual desktops, like doing a desktop in a Citrix environment or an Azure environment or something, that's kind of not necessarily a new norm, but a lot of companies are doing that.
Yeah.
Maybe they're talking about developing instead of, so it's not necessarily working from home, but instead of developing with traditional hardware like a big PC like I have, maybe they're talking about using Azure to crunch for that. I don't know.
So that was the part that threw me off. This is totally console war stuff.
Yeah.
This is absolutely. I mean, they saw a slew of success of bringing Yakuza to Game Pass.
Yep.
I think that Sega's definitely in a renaissance for themselves. I mean, they saw huge popularity. I mean, I know that it's still a niche game, and so by huge popularity, it's still probably only sold 5 million. I've never actually seen Persona 5 sales numbers.
Yeah, it's been a renaissance for them, and it's like a slow renaissance that's been going on.
Persona 5 did 3.2, okay. Royal did 2, Strikers did 1. So the Persona 5 franchise, that's still, 6 million copies in games, mm-hmm. which again is huge for a RPG series. So Sega's been doing some cool stuff. Yakuza literally saw this turnaround where I've heard, I started Like a Dragon, I still have it, but I've heard amazing things about Like a Dragon. That's on Game Pass now as well, I believe. I bought it. They're going through some things. They still can't make a good Sonic game, and that's unfortunate. But I'm okay with that. But they own so much stuff. Shin Megami Tensei 5 comes out this month. The Shin Megami Tensei 3, I think, remaster on Switch that came out a month or two ago, and I think was well received. I know personally a lot of RPG nerds that are very big fans of the series. I'll let you know if they're difficult from what I've heard compared to, say, Persona. So if you haven't played Persona 5, that's actually where I would point you first. Yeah. Unless you want a challenge. Honestly, it's a little scary to me. The same reason why a company like Bethesda was scary is just I don't want some of the stuff going certain places. I mean, not that Vanillaware is owned by Sega. Vanillaware is not, but they, Aegis Rim, 13 Sentinels, one of my favorite games of this decade, was published by Atlas, which is owned by Sega. That's on PS4 only. Persona is a Sony franchise.
Yeah.
You have the Shin Megami Tensei games. I think is 5 just Switch. Shin Megami Tensei.
I don't know. I thought that was on PlayStation as well. I may be wrong.
SMT 5. Switch exclusive. So I don't know if it's timed or not, but that's the hard thing that starts to get with these giant companies, where if you're announcing these partnerships, does that mean does Persona 6 come to Xbox only? Like, is that a reality that we could live in?
We could. I don't know if it's going to happen, but it's a possibility. It's a possibility. It depends on how deep that agreement goes.
Which I understand. I'm a complete hypocrite on, by the way, because I don't care that Final Fantasy 16 is starting out as an exclusive to PlayStation 5, and Final Fantasy 7 Remake still is not on Xbox. We had the understanding that it was a 1-year exclusivity. Where is it? Where's the game? Like, are they just, is Sony not is Square not bothering because we're like, well, we're still working on the others. Like, we'll figure that out later.
Or they're not, I don't know, or they're not ready because they didn't finish it on Xbox because it wasn't as much of a priority. Could be a thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Speaking of things maybe not being a priority or being a priority, we don't know about it. So GoldenEye just got unbanned. Excuse that music playing, because that was not supposed to be happening. I don't think anybody else heard it except for you, but you got to hear some. You get to hear the GoldenEye soundtrack. GoldenEye has just been unbanned in Germany. It's been banned since for 24 years. It's been banned. The game being unbanned in Germany is interesting because it does have to be reviewed to be unbanned. So a lot of people are pointing at this possibly being a re-release of GoldenEye. Nintendo, because this has been tied up with Nintendo as well as Rare in regards to the rights of the game. So rumor is that essentially Nintendo is going to release this, say, on the Nintendo expansion pack to get players to come over there and play some in 64. We've both talked about how we feel about GoldenEye. I love GoldenEye, but it is not aged well. So don't know if this is actually going to happen because we're talking about the review of the original game, not like a remake or remaster. Which, by the way, this is like a fan remaster here. GoldenEye Source. It looks good and it's free. To the point where I was like, maybe I'll check it out. It's a multiplayer only, so you can't go through the campaign, which is unfortunate because I do love the GoldenEye campaign. But
so there's no reason to play that.
If it doesn't have the campaign, I love the campaign.
Yeah,
you can play online with other people.
One of the great early first-person games. Yeah. Honestly, that's what made the game. Even though it was fun multiplayer, that's what made the game for me. Was how good.
Yeah.
Of a campaign it was. It was fun.
It's a great campaign. Yeah. This is online only, but I kind of do hope that we get it on Switch. I would like a remaster. Like, I'd like to clean it up and give it those modern controls. We're getting that with Grand Theft Auto. So Grand Theft Auto Trilogy is going to have modern controls for its game. Modernize GoldenEye so that way you can aim, give it the twin stick treatment, so that way you can actually aim up and down without stopping and holding the R button to aim down and up. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it would have a licensing problem.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. I think that I don't ever see this game coming back to anything. It's possible, I guess, but just due to the fact that it's a licensed product with James Bond, with the GoldenEye TM name, with everything associated with it, with likenesses and stuff, I don't know that it would ever come back. I don't have a problem with it coming back, other than that it's old. Yeah. Like, you would really need to upgrade it to make me ever play it again. I played and beat. I didn't mention it because I literally just picked up my 3DS. But I played and beat, did a Star Fox 64 run.
Oh yeah.
On my 3DS. Discovered that the left button on my 3DS is no longer working, which is making me sad because I need to see if it's needed in Ocarina or not, or if I have to find myself a new 3DS or go buy one of those like 2DS XLs or something. but that made me a little sad doing that because I couldn't do a left barrel roll. So I'm like sitting here, I'm like, why am I only right barrel rolling? Like, what's going on? And then I couldn't hover with the tank.
I don't know if you need left. Do you need? Does it cover as Z as well or no? If it's separate, I think you may be okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't ever booted up the Zelda 64, but I was planning on playing that in this next year or so, just kind of seeing if I still think that Majora's is better than OOT with some quality of life upgrades. But
gotcha.
I know if GoldenEye comes, I'm happy for it. I know that it's like much beloved, but at the same time, it's also just everything about it is old. You can't do it anymore.
Yeah, it is.
And that was part of what I felt doing Star Fox 64, where I was just like, just some of this feels old. They did with the 3D upgrade, they did like add to where you could uninvert the stick, because if you recall, Star Fox 64 was inverted,
which I hate.
Yeah, and I didn't hate it at the time, but now it's just a thing.
I know some people like people are in one camp or another when it comes to inversion. And I hope you enjoyed the show this week. Let us know in the comments what camp you're in. Are you an inverted player or not inverted? Do you turn that off or on? Does it bother you because you like the logic of how you fly planes? Because I don't know. Let us know in the comments which one you are and why. And we'll see you next time.